Good evening.
Good
Hello.
evening. Does evening start at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m.?
To me, it starts at 5.
I mean, yeah, okay, I can live with that. It's just like to me it's been evening all day because it's like cloudy and
It's been
like
gray,
moody.
but in my brain, evening starts at 5. Let's see what
Yeah,
Google
I can
says.
I can do that. It's probably one of those bullshit things where it's like it actually starts at 8 p.m. and no one abides by that shit.
Google says 6 to 9.
Yeah, okay. It's evening starts when the at post sunrise. Sorry, yeah, post sunrise. I mean that's technically accurate. Post sunset.
See, the thing is my Fridays used to be very, very centered around the dusk. It was very
Hmm.
important to know what time the sun was setting because that was when the fun had to go away.
Oh, is
And
that like you got to go home before sundown kind of thing?
yeah, or if you were home, you had to stop having fun.
Bec- mm,
Shabbat,
be
Sabbath, can't be doing ungodly things Friday to Saturday.
Friday.
So,
Okay.
so the
So does that
sundown,
include like okay,
yeah.
how broad is the lack of fun?
Well, that's my way of looking at it, but it really is about. It's supposed to be about doing like God related activities and or
Okay.
not working and not doing things just for your own pleasure.
Okay.
So
So
broad, vague
say you're
description.
say you're married,
Yes,
okay? Which you are in fact married. Congrats.
correct.
Again. And you've decided that the best way to honor God is to have a bunch of kids. Does that mean that Shabbat time can be like impregnate your wife hours? Is that
Missionary
not?
explicitly for the sake of procreation and saying a prayer in between each pump.
Yeah.
I'm sure someone did it. I'm sure it fits in somewhere. It's not exactly resting though. It's not what I would call it, huh? It's not exactly a
Yeah.
day of rest. Yeah.
What? Okay. Let's move off. Let's move off this. What if
Not when
you
I'm involved. What's up? Heyo.
decide that you're worshiping the Lord through football and that
No.
football is a godly sport?
No. No.
Oh, mm.
Doesn't work. What you can do is you can have like songs that are kind of like Bible games, or you can do things like, um, let's say you're playing like Mad Libs, and it's like, oh, first person to like quote to remember the to fill in the Bible verse, or
Uh-huh.
you know what I mean, or like, oh, what book did this come from? Ecclesiastes. Oh yeah, that was you. Okay, you know, you have to.
What's the authority on the rule book of prescribed activities on this?
Well, that's it, right? It's we're not in the electricity is banned camp. It's more
Okay.
of just the day of rest camp, and so. But the point was TV's going off unless you're
Right.
watching a like church channel, you know.
What about like a nature documentary?
Yeah, no, that works. That works.
Okay.
That's a nice little, like, I wouldn't say loophole, but that was
Well,
the
yeah,
type.
because it's like I mean that's good for you.
Yes, but that's the type of thing that I would get into. Would be like I'm gonna watch the shit out of some nature related things, and enjoy that because you do what you can with what your limitations are. But either way, the point is that the sun would go down at a different time across the year, and we'd pay attention. So for me, it was like, okay, the sun starts to go down. You can get the last couple games in. You can run a couple more sets, you know. But as long as you're kind of looking at it risen, even if it's peaking out, it's like, okay,
Okay.
you're still good, and then once the sky is orange, but you don't see the sun anymore, it's sunset.
I have a question. So in the rules, it's very specifically sundown. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, how does living within the polar circle affect this?
Yep. Yep.
Or even like equatorial countries that just have much longer days.
Iceland in the summer, right? Northwest Territories. I'm sure there are some Adventist people out there who live in those zones, and they've got to figure it out somehow. And I don't know. Maybe there's
daytime in the polar circle under the system rules, but nighttime seems like unmanageable.
Infinite Sabbath. Yes. Nonstop infinite Sabbath. I feel like they would probably have a schedule of like average times to just, think that it's like, okay, about now would be the time to start it. But on a technicality level, you are in a place where there is no sundown. That's a really good. You would be good at that. That's solid.
I'm sorry. I'm laughing at something totally different. Paige just came home from errands, and both of the pets were dead ass asleep until she walked in the door, and she's trying to make herself a salad, and both of them are just screaming at her nonstop as soon as I started the podcast.
Yes. Get screamed at. Yeah. No, that's good technicality, good question. I don't know. That one's for
you guys never did any of that, like you can't pick up a phone or turn off the oven shit,
no,
did you?
None of that. Eating food and living your life and doing what you have to do normally is fine. It was just, on the seventh day God rested, therefore we should have a day of rest too. And that's kind of the end of the thought. Anyway, it's been gray all day.
Could you have like written into the Bible, like, and
no, but go on.
The seventh day God shit posted dank memes all night, and that would like.
I mean, you can't write anything in. However, if you're making memes that encourage people to turn to the good book and to give their lives to Christ, then that would be allowed. If it's dank but also encouraging that they kneel at the cross, then yeah, that would totally be allowed. God memes is definitely okay.
Oh man. I just typed in Christian memes and I'm getting very good memes.
Oh yeah, no, Facebook has been that. Facebook has been a bunch of but they're all really snarky, They're all really like, y'all atheists say this, but then this doesn't make any sense. Whatever.
Like
I don't know.
A picture of a banana.
Yeah, just exactly, Explain this then without God, and it's that kind of energy, which is not the same thing.
Are you familiar with the old-fashioned, the banana, the Australian guy, the atheist's nightmare video, in which he holds up a banana and then shows off perfect, fits the hand,
yes,
delicious,
yes,
nutritious.
Yes.
It's even got a peel, a pop to top.
Yes.
And I always thought that was funny for one reason, because it's ridiculous. And then I learned the second reason why it's ridiculous is that every single part of the banana is man-made. It is a completely manufactured, not real fruit. In fact, the original banana is completely dead of a fucking plague.
Oh, yes.
We're stuck on tier 2 bananas.
The Dole banana is the only one because the plague wiped out all the rest in the 70s, yeah.
But I have recently discovered the third reason why that's hilarious. Because when you have a banana and the stem's at the top and you peel the stem off, that's the wrong way to peel a banana. I was not aware that monkeys
they
who
do it
are
backwards.
pro with bananas just pinch the bottom
Way
and the
easier.
fucking thing unfolds like a flower, and I ate a banana that way, and I was like, oh man,
Yeah.
those monkeys know what they're doing with
Like,
this banana shit.
every peel of a banana is like an extra step that you don't need, because when you pinch the bottom and split it immediately opens the whole thing. Totally. But I was present. I remember a big, what you call revival is when you have a large connected group of like a weekend that's planned when like a pastor will come and have like a, in this case it was a broadcasted program meant to go to a number of churches, like hundreds of churches around North America. And it's all watching the same program in order to get the numbers up and whatever. And the big thing there was they did an anti-evolution episode, and that was one Saturday where we sat down and the pastor was basically like, I have a list of like definitive proof that says like this is why evolution can't exist. And I remember the examples he gave, and like one of them was the big before the big closer there was the eyeball, which was it was introduced as a single perfect seeing machine that if you take away any of the rods, if you take away any single element of it, it falls apart and doesn't work. But you can't have useless evolution. Therefore, the eyeball had to be created perfectly.
Did he bust out the Darwin quote where Darwin's like, "Oh man, the eyeball could never have been made by chance."
Yeah, and then like there was a whole thing about like there's adaptation but there's no evolution, and it's like, for example, the saltwater crocodile and the freshwater crocodile adapted in the last couple hundred years, and we saw it happen, so that happens, but over the long term, no way. And then the eyeball was used, showing the exactly each element, which you then later can go find out. It's like, yeah, it obviously doesn't start that way. There's bumps and light sensors that then
and also
you can go through
like
iterations on.
Like my favorite thing of like humans as like the evolved apex is like problems with our organs that are congenital due to our bipedal nature.
Useless tails.
Like our fucking assholes being right next to our fucking reproductive organs. Like that's gross and bad for contamination. Like
Appendix.
our fucking eyeballs are shit, by the way. They can fail in 100 different ways.
So the other example was the octopus, or the squid, where same thing. Like if you take away any of the parts of the squid, then it would just wouldn't be able to swim or survive. It would just be immobile, but the whole structure works in such a perfect way that it all had to be created intelligently and designed as such.
What? You could hack off like 6 octopus arms and it'd be fine.
You take away one thing, and that's what they said. Or it might have been the jellyfish, but it was something like that, something along those lines, where it was the whole thing had to exist, otherwise it couldn't work. And then the closer, the big one, was the bomb blast beetle, which is the beetle that spews burning acid.
Okay.
And basically,
that's pretty wild. Didn't know about that one.
It spews burning acid that's like, it reaches a ridiculous temperature that can like melt through its enemies and shit like that. And it is something that it can't have grown the corrosive acid it spews without the proper layering, but it wouldn't have the layering if it didn't have the acid that was there to cause that to happen. And the whole thing was a big setup to say that there's no way this beetle could have existed with that inside of it without the protections and such, step by step. It had to be created all at once perfectly without killing itself. Oh,
on the wiki article, there's straight up the beetle's unusual defense mechanism is claimed by creationists to be an example of what they call irreducible complexity.
Hey, there we go. Well, you found it. Yeah, that's irreducible complexity. That's it. That's exactly what it was. Totally.
It could never be less complicated than this. I don't know, man.
Irreducible complexity. is definitive proof. And like I remember after that, it was like a fucking banger album just dropped. Like everybody was hype. They were like, "Oh shit, I can't wait to take this to the water cooler and talk to my friends on Monday and be like, "Did you know?" No, you didn't. Because now I've got some definitive shit, and it was just completely and utterly wrong. But how are we supposed to know? Yeah.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked that you did not bring up my personal favorite like attack point, which is "But were you there though?" Which is my all-time favorite. I'm like, yeah, but dinosaurs and the fossil were you there? Did you see the dinosaurs? No.
Yeah. I mean, the common one too was like, everyone would get really excited. I was trained to get really excited about whenever someone would go, but carbon dating though, because then you could go, aha, but carbon dating is proven bullshit. Look at all these wrong examples. We can't rely on that. It's been inconsistent in all these particular cases. What the fuck is that? You know, and then it's like, yeah, because you don't follow up and go, but also it's been replaced with tons of other methods that are similar and more accurate. And also you can go look at like cross sections of ice in the world where you can just see the layers and go like, it's clearly longer and been more than 6,000 years, but whatever, don't talk about that part, you know.
I think my favorite part of all this is that even as like a child, like a 9, I want to say I was 9 because I was in Cub Scouts, and the Cub Scouts was associated with our local church. And so every now and then you had to we would have events in the church, so there'd be a preacher around, that kind of thing. And I wasn't talking to the preacher, I was just talking to another kid, and I was like, well, but the scientist says that the dinosaur, yada, 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 right?
Of course, dinosaurs on the ark.
You're just believing the scientists just like I'm just believing my reverend. Like, what's the difference, right? And I'm like, well, I mean, at that point, I'm a child, so yeah, I am taking it on faith. But scientists gave me the internet and my PlayStation.
Yeah. No,
like
science is just another religion is a huge talking point that's still used. It's a huge one.
Things.
Because it's basically, it's like, yeah, but you have faith in things you don't understand. You don't understand how the camera that's shooting you now works, but you just believe what they tell you about how it works. Therefore, it's like, okay, sure, I guess, but
if the Catholic Church had invented the Xbox, things would be looking good.
Yeah, no. Instead, they invented some fucking wildly radical ways to torture people. Insanely creative on that.
Yeah, a lot of brain energy going into the repentance box.
Well, because there was a thing I learned about that was like, you know, the period of time in which people believed that the more you suffered, the more holy you were getting, the more divine you were getting, and the more pure it would be when you died, meant that people would get super hyped for you.
Like the Protestant work ethic and all that shit afterwards.
So like public torture would happen and people would get way hyped on it, but they'd also be like so happy for you that you're suffering so much because your payoff would be that much greater.
Yeah, because like beatdowns in the real world count like 100 times that of purgatory or what have you. So you're basically just skipping the line by doing it before you die.
Getting crushed by the wheel, you're so fucking lucky. You know?
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, poggers.
People were pog champing at public executions back in the day. They were.
I'm just thinking, I'm just thinking that, like, I mentioned if the Catholics had invented the Xbox, and I'm like, Halo's pretty blunt, actually, with John Halo 117.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta deal with the Covenant.
Mm-hmm.
and the flood and all that shit. That's
Yeah.
pretty blunt.
I was sitting waiting for the arc. Like, that's,
And you got it.
and you get it. Only on Xbox, the device that was only made available if you explicitly did not believe. Or at the very least, if you had a system of questioning and upgrading, So,
Hey,
anyway.
Woolie, do you remember the Halo 3 ad campaign?
Yeah. Talk to that old man. Like a veteran.
What was that old man's lesson to you?
Wasn't it that, like, never forget that he saved us all?
It was believe.
Believe.
That was the ad campaign.
Yeah.
Believe in John Halo 117, the Jesus.
Yeah.
What is John? I'm going to look that up. What is John 117?
I mean, I don't...
For the law was given by Moses, but grace and truth came from Jesus.
There is always... It's nothing particular. There's always a whole bunch of, like, different takes on, like, what does it mean when we find dinosaur bones? And everyone's got their own thing on it. I remember there's a point where my brother went to join a excavation crew to dig up dinosaur bones and like see it for himself type of thing. And yeah, and like it's just that everyone has different takes on it because there's no major consensus on what this big problem of these skeletons don't make sense in the narrative. What do they mean? There's no consensus on what that is, but some people I remember were just like, no, they're putting them together wrong. That's not the shape they're supposed to be in.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, there was
big one piece skull.
Yep, totally. No, you're just putting them back together
one.
wrong. Yeah, that was one
I've
of
heard two competing ones. I've heard Devil put them in the floor to fuck with you, which is awesome. And my preferred one is that's the Leviathan. The Leviathan was a dinosaur, and that's proof that they were actually mentioned in the Old Testament and whatnot. And they were all over the place. They're just not a big part of the biblical story.
Okay. The other one,
they just all died out in the flood.
Yeah. That. Okay. So the other one that I was gonna say is like, they were evil animals that were not allowed on the ark.
Yeah, they weren't allowed on the ark. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. They did not heed the call to go in once it was built. So who knows? Who knows really?
They didn't heed the.
Yeah.
So like in that like piece of art of like the T-Rex looking at the Stegosaurus at the meteor coming down, and he goes, "Oh no, the economy." In the background of
what
that
you don't
shot
see
is Moses on the ark going, "God, come on, get in."
Giant boat, 300 cubits by 50 cubits, sitting on the mountain, waiting for you, and or not sitting. It's not yet anyway, because the flood hasn't started, so there's no Sinai landing. But yeah, they're not heeding the call. He tried his best, but they wouldn't do it.